Welcome to the Midnight Bible Study. I'd like to talk tonight about Matthew 5:16, which is, in the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. Now, this particular scripture has given me some trouble mainly because of another scripture which comes right after it in Matthew 6:1. Take heed you do not do your charitable deeds before men to be seen by them, otherwise you have no reward from your Father in heaven. So, if you're doing any kind of service to the community, it kind of becomes part of your life, something that you do, and so it's not, sometimes it might come up in a conversation. And so that's happened to me. And then I suddenly felt guilty, like, oh, but what about Matthew 6? Matthew 6 says, don't, do, again, it says, take heed, you do not do your charitable deeds before men to be seen by them. So then it's like, oh my goodness, am I like sinning or becoming a hypocrite because I mentioned something I'm doing? And then I go back, but then if I am, then why does Matthew 5:16 say, in the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your fathers in heaven? I mean, according to Origen and other writers testify that the good works of the Christian church have done more to convert the world than miracles or preaching. So that's an astounding statement. I mean, if you think about how much preaching goes on in this world, with all the churches across every state, every country, it's in all the people who are listening, the millions and possibly billions of people hearing these sermons. That would seem to be immensely influential. And then it's like Origen and other writers testify that the good works have actually been more influential for converting the world than actually any preaching and miracles. And so apparently there's something to it. From the Catholic perspective, teaching of the Second Vatican Council was that the lay faithful exercise their primary apostolate in evangelization and sanctification of all people outside the walls of the church and in the midst of the world in their daily life by penetrating and perfecting the temporal order through the spirit of the gospel. So our daily work can be a means of our personal sanctification as well as the sanctification of the greater world. So basically what they're doing in that statement from the Vatican Council is they're just affirming Matthew 5:16. They're just saying, they're just kind of paraphrasing it really, with a few extra words in there. So in the same way, let your light shine before others, they may see your good works in heaven. According to St. Augustine, what more shall I say than that all are blind who shut their eyes against the candle which is set on the candlestick? So that pretty much sums it up. But then you have to go, what about Matthew 6? What about Matthew 6:1? So in terms of Matthew 6:1, take heed that you do not do your charitable deeds before men to be seen by them. It appears that things like fasting and prayer and giving of charity, donations, financial help, should be done in all cases, let me state this: in all cases, our charitable deeds and our giving should be done not for our own glory, but for the glory of God. So, in other words, if we're doing charitable deeds and then publicizing them to glorify ourselves or for profit or something like that, that seems to be what Matthew 6:1 is speaking against. Otherwise, you have no reward in heaven. So it's essentially just a business deal or something else if you do that. So it's shameful to be given charity. It's humiliating. And to have someone do it from a proud spirit and then make a big show of it is even more humiliating. And so I think that's one of the reasons why this Matthew 6:1 speaks against doing it before men. It's much more dignified for someone receiving charity to do it quietly. And the other reason is for our own humility. We need to be humble. If we're not humble, we're not in a good standing with God. So we need to be very humble and give for the glory of God, and any reward comes from God and not from praise of other people. So the same thing comes if we're fasting. We don't want to act like we're suffering and draw attention to the fact that we're fasting. And with prayer, I mean, this was in prayer. There is public prayer in church, but I think we just need to not make a show of it when we can. And in general, prayer should be done as it says elsewhere in the gospel. Go home and in your quiet room, pray alone, and the reward is from God, who actually sees what you're up to. So there you go. That's Matthew 5:16. Let your light shine. God bless you, and good night from the Midnight Bible Study.